Students, let's begin with the first chapter from your economics book of grade 11, and the name of the chapter is Definition of Economics. From this chapter we'll come to know about what is economics, what is this subject dealing with, how this subject have evolved into an independent subject, and then we have few economists, great economists. From time to time they have given their own opinion and how it is different from one another and what are the criticisms found in their definitions. So let us begin. We can say that economics is often regarded as queen of social science. Okay, so we cannot say that it is a part of arts or part of science. Economics is dealing with both the matters. So we can say economics is having parts of science subject also, it's having parts of or features of art subject also. Now what are the features of science? Science subject deals with cause and effect. Whatever is the cause, if this is the cause, this will be the effect. They are definite about the result. If this is the cause, this is the effect. In economics you will also get the similarity that in few laws, like we also have in economics, we are having laws of return, law of diminishing marginal utility. There are lots of laws in which we say that if this is the thing, that will happen. So we can say the cause and effect in few matters. But arts subject always tells, assumes and tells that this might happen. Okay, if there is some change, the result might be like this. So in a similar way we can say that economics is having this part also in it, that few laws are there or few exceptional cases are there which we say this might, the consumer might have this kind of effect. We are just assuming. So we are having both the aspects in this subject. So we can say economics is part of science also, economics is part of arts also. It is having both the features in it. So economics is a social science. As a social science is concerned with economical questions. Okay, economical questions which is explaining us how the individual is going to earn money, how individual is going to spend money. It is not about the individual behavior only, it is about the nation's behavior, or you can say a market behavior also. It is not dealing with a particular person or a particular criteria. It is saying about the national income also, the aggregate total populations, you can say per capita income, everything is being dealt, but it is only money related, right? So all these questions are being dealt with by this subject. Next is evolution of economics. In the next page you will find that before 1890 this subject was known as political economy, but later on after 1890 this subject came to known as being economics. Okay, this term came up, economics, after that. And long back during 384 to 322 BC, that time Aristotle started writing about these matters. About the very first writer in the ancient time, we can say, was Aristotle. But that time nobody knew this is an independent subject. That time also it was not an independent subject. Later on in 19th century, during 20th century, we can say during 19th century basically, this subject you can say came to be known as an independent subject. But already this subject started gaining its popularity between, you can say, 16th century, mid 18th century, and by 19th century it was totally established as an independent subject. But before that also Aristotle started writing, but in his writings he was dealing how there were many Greek cities, city state. That time it used to be called a city state, like 158 Greek city states were there. How they were dealing among themselves, this was highly observed by Aristotle, and how the economical matters were dealt, this was jotted down by him. What are the major definitions of economics? From time to time we got some major person's definitions. Like number one is Adam Smith. Adam Smith is one of the classical economists, and we cannot forget his name because he is known as the father of economics. Okay, Adam Smith, J. Mill, then Ricardo. Okay, all these are the classical economists who have defined the wealth definition. From the term itself you can understand wealth definition. At the very beginning they are saying that a science which inquires into the nature and causes of wealth of nations. So in his famous book Adam Smith, in his famous book An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of Wealth of Nations, in this book he have totally explained how a nation is going to earn money, spend money and accumulate money by using the natural resources. Okay, he have totally said about the economical factors, the wealth of a nation, and if a nation tries to develop itself as powerful entity, then they have to keep the wealth in hand. This was the main thinking. Okay, and one more term they started using, that was economic man. Economic man is the wealth definition of economics. Considered an economic man who is aware of his self interest, who is aware about his self interest, how he is going to earn, how he is going to gain the materials, and how he is going to you can say accumulate, and he can restore money. So all these terms are being used as economic man. They used this term, those who are aware about their self interest and how to acquire it, how they're a self-centered person who knows how to fulfill his own dream. They are using this term. For them is economic man. Okay, many after that many of them have criticized this classical thought. They told that wealth definition is always dealing with wealth, too much of emphasis on the materialism, too much they have emphasized on wealth, they have narrowed down the concept. Okay, somewhere they have forgotten about the services, only the materials they are considering, that only money and money. Other than that, there are lots of things, there are lots of, like, health is there, education is there, all these things are also needed for human beings. They have totally ignored it. And if you have told that not only accumulation of money is enough, and not only that, they are saying that they have totally ignored the human beings, you can say love, affection, happiness, all this kind of terms are not found there. And service is also ignored by this definition. Next comes the welfare definition, broadly given by Alfred Marshall. Alfred Marshall is saying that political economy or economics is a study of mankind. Okay, he have emphasized on mankind. He have first given the priority. He in the first you can say emphasized on the study of mankind. He is believing that wealth is not an end by itself, but only a means of human welfare. So you cannot say that if money is there, that person is happy and that person can fulfill its own dream and that person can do all the works. Other than that, lots of aspects are there. So first money comes, then comes the human being. It is a wrong definition which was given by the wealth oriented or wealth definition. Then the Alfred Marshall is saying we should emphasize on human beings. This money is made by the human beings and for the human beings. So as human beings will be happy, if then the money aspect will come. Okay, without human beings this money is useless. So we should emphasize on the mankind first and then on the materialistic things. Okay, this was his first emphasis. Next, he have told that economics, or this subject you can say, is dealing with the ordinary business of life and is concerned with income and expenditure activities. That means earning and expenditure of a person, of a mankind they are dealing with. And he have added more, like according to him, economics is not concerned with total human welfare, but is concerned with material welfare only, that part of human welfare which is related to wealth. Okay, so again he is saying that welfare, so money or economics cannot do entire welfare to the human beings, but in regard to human welfare, money is needed very much. Okay, material needs are very basic needs which must be fulfilled before one can think of other needs. Okay, the basic needs we are having, like food, clothes, shelter, all these things are very much needed by us. If we don't have that, we cannot think of any other, you can say, cannot think of any other needs or wants. Next, again, he was also highly criticized, okay, by the scarcity definition. What they are saying, they are criticizing Marshall by saying Marshall has been criticized for treating economics as a social science rather than human science. The way he was trying to add moral values, he was criticized for it, because economics is not a subject where the moral value should be added. This is what the scarcity definition people are thinking. Okay, welfare definition restrict the scope of economics in study of person living in an organized communities only. So they are trying to emphasize that too much of social science is being added here, too much of moral values are getting added, whereas the subject economics is dealing with the human science only, how the human behavior is there, what is the nation's behavior, or you can say market behavior. All these things are getting analyzed here. Other than that, Leonel Robbins, who is a scarcity definition person, and he is saying what? That distinction between economics and non-economic activities is unscientific, illogical. Okay, we can say Alfred Marshall have described that human behavior can be, human activities rather can be, categorized in two categories. One is economic behavior and another is a non-economic behavior. Economic behavior is that when human beings are doing something, doing some activity in order to get something in return, get some earnings or some money in return, that is called economic activity. And when some persons are doing some activity but not getting anything, not getting any money in return, that is called non-economic activity. For example, when the housewives are working at home, they are not getting any money in return, so that is a non-economic activity. Whereas the same person, if that person is going to somebody else's house and when cooking food there, then that time the person is earning money there, so that is an economic activity. So here you can say Leonel Robbins is saying that the total demarcation between the economic and non-economic activity is useless. Okay, it is, you can say, illogical, unscientific, we cannot say like that. And then we are having materialistic aspect. Once again I'll tell, they forgot, or Alfred Marshall forgot to add on this point of services. He also emphasized on the material things only, and he did not emphasize on the services. He also did not include service in his definition. Okay, next we are having scarcity definition. In scarcity definition, this was highly propounded by Leonel Robbins, and Leonel Robbins is giving scarcity definition. Here he is saying that human wants are unlimited. Okay, it's ever growing and never ending. This is a very beautiful phrase given by him. It's ever growing and never ending human wants. So as slowly you'll fulfill your one want, the second one will come. As you'll fulfill the second one, the third one will come, the third one will fulfill, the fourth one will come, and so on and so forth. In our life, numerous wants are coming and going, right? So what we need to do, according to Leonel Robbins, we have to make a list. We have to make a priority list. In our priority list, there are basic things will come at the first, and after that, which is most important for us, that will come in the second position, then third, then fourth, and so on and so forth. It will keep on going. So for example, we can say food will come in the first position in everybody's life. That is the priority list. Okay, and last we can say diamond, jewelry, or maybe car, or maybe ACs. All these luxury items will come at the end, because if that is not provided to an individual, that person will be able to survive. But if food, cloth, medicines, shelter, all this is not provided to a person, that person cannot even survive. So again, here Llewellyn Robbins is saying that human wants have to be made a priority list, because in order to fulfill our want, we have to make a priority list, because the first, second, third, fourth, according to the priority which is helping us to survive, must be fulfilled by us, and the rest are optional. Okay, why they are optional? Because wants will never end, but the natural resources and the supply of money is fixed. So we cannot fulfill all the dreams we are having. All the desires cannot be fulfilled. Okay, so we have to make a priority list. Next, we have added one beautiful thing, that is alternative uses of means. There are lots of means, there are lots of natural resources. We have to use it wisely. Maybe a single thing, a piece of land. Okay, we're having alternative uses. Alternative uses means a land. Maybe you're having a piece of land, you will build a house. Same piece of land is given to somebody else, somebody will build maybe a hospital, maybe somebody else will build a shop, somebody else will make a school. So it is varying from person to person, whereas alternative uses are changing. He have tried to emphasize this. Next, he have told about choice. What is the meaning of this? Here the choice means that every single resource we are having, we should be very wise to use that resource. Okay, we should be very wise to use that resource, because resources are also limited. In other words, you can say that he is telling about sustainable development here. We should use the materials in such a way so that our future generation doesn't feel, or you can say they don't get extinct with some certain resources. We should use the resources in such a manner that it should be abundant, or it should be sufficient for our upcoming generations. He have added this beautiful thing of choice, where he have told about sustainable development. Once again, he is having lots of merits in his discussion, but again, once again, I'll say he is again criticized. Okay, so why is criticized? Somebody is saying that he is having a narrow view on economics. Okay, he have told that the means, or you can say the wants, or the natural resources are very limited. So somewhere or the else, he is saying that if the natural resources are limited, we are scarcity of resources he's talking about. So not only scarcity of resources troubles human beings, sometimes abundance of resources also troubles human beings. For example, the Great Depression. Okay, the Great Depression which occurred had made a great problem in the human society. If there is abundant or overflow of products, that can also be or have an adverse effect on the society. So he have forgot to say about this.